Hello everyone and welcome to the JustNabz podcast with your captain, the great and amazing Nabil and...
Nabila, hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
Very fine.
I'm actually very extremely happy today.
Are you? How come?
Yeah, since last week actually.
How
Because
come?
I did something very risky.
Oh, what was that?
Yes, I'll let you know.
Right, Tom
soon.
Cruise here. Okay. Fair enough.
And you, how was your birthday?
I'd like to say amazing, but it's been rainy all day and we have that 10 p.m. curfew, so I did literally nothing. Just stayed home and read a book and played on my PlayStation. And that's it. I didn't do anything special. I mean, it's a quarter of a century, yeah? So 25 years. 25 years ago, a star was born. And now, I do not even get to celebrate my 25th birthday, my quarter of a century. And I'm quite pissed because of that. But yeah, whatever. I reckon there's
You
bigger
have
problems.
3 more quarters to go, so it's fine.
You jinxed it. I think I'll be gone by 49.
Yeah, the
No.
way you pick fights with people, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, but you know, I do pick fights, but apparently I'm always right. So I don't know. It's hard.
Our social media followers seem to love your baby pictures. Your
Oh,
little baby picture, yeah, it was very cute.
so everyone was asking what happened.
Yeah.
What happened to that innocent baby?
Yeah, that cute little innocent baby.
Yeah, I was. I was quite innocent. You know, my brother actually, he was quite the tornado when he was young, and I was quite the opposite. So when I was just a child, my mom used to leave me with my nan back then, and I was just used to just fall asleep and do nothing and just keep sleeping every day and night. I think I slept like 20 hours a day, something like that. So I was so calm. I didn't cause any issues. My brother, on the other hand, he was never able to sleep. He was always crying and whining about everything. So
That
quite the
sounds like
opposite.
you now.
Yeah, and now he's the calm one, and I'm the one triggered. So yeah, absolutely, we switched roles.
Shame. So last week we talked about love and first times, and you know, I said I've never been in love, and so my therapist was like, you know, you can't love someone else until you love yourself. And it kind of makes sense because
Yes.
I've never really... I grew up with body issues, so I never really loved myself per se. Also, she said I'm very hard on myself and I don't let people in. So I need to start letting people in. Anyways, besides that, so I was like, but how do you go about loving yourself? You know, it's a process. Or like everyone keeps talking about, oh, you know, love yourself first and love yourself the way you want to be loved by someone else. And it's difficult. Like, where do you start and what do you do and what does it feel like? So I got in touch with someone, very similar name to us. She is Coach Naz, and she describes herself in one word as an adventurizer, living her life purpose through life coaching. She's passionate about helping individuals shift past their own limitations and survivor mode into creating their own lives from the inside out.
Oof.
Hi, Coach Naz.
Hello.
How are you?
you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm I'm good. Honored to be on your podcast this evening.
You are most welcome. I'm very excited to have you on here.
Likewise.
Did I say that right, the word adventurizer?
Yes. It's a word I came up with a couple years ago.
Okay.
It's basically my word that I use to describe life and stepping up and rising to the occasion and, living your best life. So I came up with adventurizer.
Very cool. Very cool. I love, one thing I love doing is mashing words up together to make new words. That's one of my favorite things to do.
I love it as well. I think it's so much fun to have your own little dictionary and words that mean something to you.
Yeah. So you were listening in what I just said.
Yes.
Self-love. Where do we start? Let's start at the start, the beginning.
In my opinion, this journey starts with you getting to know yourself. And that is something people struggle with simply because we've been programmed from a very young age to disconnect from self, to put on a mask, to, make everything look perfect and happy, the perfect picture. And in doing so, we've never learned how to feel, how to authentically be ourselves. Because life and cultures and society has taught us the opposite of that. So what we've actually done is we've unmasked and we started living according to what society needed and completely disconnected from self. Hence, we don't know how to love self. But how can you love anything without truly knowing self?
I just kind of listen to other people's music and songs and poetry and just pretend I know what it feels like.
Bollywood movies. Kuch hota hai, yes.
Yeah. Oh, that was the first romance movie I actually watched. It was the first Bollywood movie I watched as well. Anyways, yeah, so I like to live vicariously through other people, but I think, now is the time where we need to start making moves.
Yes. So Nabil, you've been very quiet.
No, it's because
he loves himself too much. So for him, it's like, oh, you're telling me stuff I already know.
No, actually, no. I mean, I do love myself so much, but I haven't always been like this. So I've struggled with myself in the past quite a lot, and so, of course, I've been lucky to come out of it, of a negative spiral by myself, but not everyone is as lucky as I've been, because I consider myself to be lucky from that point of view. So, the first question I would ask you is, how do you deal with your flaws? So before accepting them, you need, accepting your flaws is not an easy process. How do you start with that?
I think the first step to all healing, I always say, is awareness, because a lot of times people don't even want to look at the fact that maybe they have a flaw because we're so busy chasing perfection. And what I do with the techniques I use on my clients is it's about becoming real with self and authentic. So the first thing is become aware. Do a lot of self-reflection and become aware of these things. Because if you're not aware, then there's nothing more we can do from that point.
Do you know who else told us this? One of our other guests in our earlier episodes. It's a recurring theme.
Think about it, because if you're not aware of your light or darkness, we call it the shadow self, hidden self. There's a lot of terminology around it. But if you're not aware of your own limitations, then how are you supposed to fix it? If you're not aware of the problem, how do you find the solution?
Okay, let's pretend we go a step further. So I see my flaws, and I can recognize them, so I'm self-aware. How do I get up and start working on them if work is needed? Because many times we all feel kind of a block. We feel blocked, we feel stopped, we feel like we have no weapon to redirect our flaws to a more positive channel. So how do we start doing? Is there any specific pattern we should be looking for?
Okay, my steps is awareness, understanding, and then transformation. Because once you become aware that you have it, say for example, it's anger, that is one of your flaws, and
Thank
you
you.
delve deeper to understand.
That applies to
did I
both
trigger
of us.
something?
That applies to both of us.
Okay,
Absolutely.
okay. So if you're aware that you have that flaw, anger as an example, the next step is understanding why you actually have it. And a lot of it comes from programming that happened between the ages of 0 to 7. So I always say people are never their behavior. So you're not angry people. Anger is serving you and protecting something else. And normally anger is deep-seated hurt. That's why you have angry people. So it's about just venturing into that and understanding, where does this come from? When did it start? Why do I respond? Which of my influences in my life have the same traits as me? Because it's no one's fault. It's just survival programming that we are operating on. And it's unconscious. And Nabil just touched on a good point. The reason why we get stuck is because our brain is designed to keep us in our comfort zone. So we are in our comfort zone of survival mode, and we need to push past that and the resistance to break free from the patterns.
Nabs, where do you think your anger comes from?
Put me on the spot here. I would say, gosh,
It's not easy. It's not easy.
it's not easy putting a finger on it.
No, I mean, in my case, I could, here's the other thing, is I could literally point a finger on something, but at the same time, I don't know if it's enough, if it's the only thing, or if it's the right thing that's literally causing it. So what if I'm picking the wrong cause? So for instance, I would say that my anger comes from a kind of expecting people to behave the way I do. And so for instance, if I'm driving, I wouldn't cut you off, but people are constantly cutting me off, so I'm getting pissed because I wouldn't do that. So why are you doing that to me? And I cannot even revenge myself, because if I cut someone else off, I'm not getting my revenge on you, I'm getting my revenge on someone else who did literally nothing. So I guess my anger comes from the fact I expect people to maybe treat me the way I treat them.
I think mine is similar, but like I expect people to think the way I do. So I don't know if it's angry or if it's just irritation. But if someone doesn't see things from my perspective, I get very angry or very upset or very annoyed at that. And I know, like, deep down, I'm like, okay, everyone's not the same. Everyone is not programmed to think like you. Like, just, like, I have to check myself. But, like, in previous episodes, Nabil, when we've had our disagreements, like, it would make me so angry. Like, I have to just control myself on the episodes.
Well, that was a step forward. You should be thanking me.
I know. I'm making progress. I'm starting to check myself when I get angry.
Yeah.
And like when to give people a response and when not to.
So that's very interesting with both of you. So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
When in your life have you felt accepted?
Accepted?
As you are, for everything that you are.
Ooh.
I think
for me it was in high school when I always go back to this. I don't know why I go back to this time always, but it's at a time where I didn't fit in, and I met two of my best friends who just accepted me as I am, no questions asked, like craziness and all. I think that was the first time that I was like accepted.
So what happens if we remove the two friends from your life? Does Nabila accept herself?
I'm starting to, at my big age.
At your big age. So you see, it's kind of these things, it's paying attention to your triggers. So like with the two of you, it's a lot of times where people are not, just from the little snippet you shared now, a lot of your anger stems from when people are not behaving in the way you want. And you know, they say the world is your mirror. It's a very hard concept to process, but it's true, because perception is projection. And the fact that you need people to fit into your box means you're chasing some level of approval. And it's approval you've never found within yourself, which if you look at how it's mirroring back, it's not matching me. And yet each individual has their own unique gift and piece to this big puzzle that I call life. But we're so busy trying to fit in or to be, and a puzzle can never be built if you're forcing a piece where it doesn't belong, because you haven't found where you belong and where your piece is on this big puzzle. And it comes back to that disconnection. So we used anger as an example here, but if you delve deeper, and there's lots of processes, like I always say, every single person needs a coach, including a coach. Like, because me, with all the knowledge I hold, my brain is designed to keep me in my comfort zone. So I can bullshit myself all I want and believe it. But if I go to somebody and they're listening to me, they'll be able to help me trace and track that limitation. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely it does. So have you ever had, this is quite a specific question, but have you ever had a client of yours who you were actually helping, who turned out in some way actually helping you as much as it helped them?
I think every coach will attract the clients that they mirror in a large, to a huge extent. Because like for me, I always say I coach from life experience, not necessarily from all of my qualifications. I've been through life. I've been on the other side of not knowing how to love myself and where to even start that journey. And now when you help clients, it's basically you mirroring exactly there, and I can relate to them because I've been there and I know how it feels, and I know the words you're using when you're disconnected from self.
There's nothing worse than going to someone like a therapist or a life coach or whatever, and they can't relate to you.
Yes.
It's very frustrating because you trying to seek help from them, or trying to get them to help you, but they're not understanding your side or where you're coming from. So I like that, the whole thing about mirroring
each other. So you always are. So yes, my clients are always a mirror of me as well, to answer your question, Nabil.
Yeah, thank you. Can I go back to the previous question of whether we've ever felt accepted? And to be fair, my answer is quite the same as Nabila's. As I've said, I've been through a dark period in my life, and I came out of it and I started loving myself when I found some specific people around me who accepted me. And from there, I started loving myself more, and now I do not need that kind of acceptance from other people. But so for me, the trigger to start loving myself has been being accepted by other people. Is it the only way to start loving yourself, for instance, or believing in yourself, or is there any other way we could, start this process?
So you mean besides the awareness and understanding?
No, besides being accepted by people.
Yes, you need to work on accepting yourself. That is the only way. Because remember, every time you search for meaning in an external world, as soon as that external person or thing is taken away, then what happens to you? So for a very long time, the cliche line, love yourself before you love another, and the other one is find yourself. I'm in search of myself. But where are you searching? Where are you finding yourself? It's always on the external. So my new thing is stop trying to find yourself outside of yourself and actually get to know yourself. Because there's certain things, you know yourself, and you know yourself best when you're alone in your room and no one is watching you and you don't need to put a mask on. That is where you know whether you accept yourself or not.
That is true.
That is your truth and authentic self.
That is true.
Because those tears in that moment and that emptiness that you feel is telling you a lot about the relationship you have with yourself.
Okay.
And then as soon as you go, okay, I need someone else to fill this, you're giving them the entire power of yourself. And then when that person leaves, then you're back in that room again, in that dark, empty, sad space.
That's spot on. That's spot on. And so this is the month of love in some way.
Yes.
Because someone decided it's that. But yeah, this is apparently the month of love.
Yes.
And so I would like to move to the relationship side because,
Okay.
as I've asked you previously, you both take care of people as individuals or at times as couples.
Yes.
So the whole couples thing is very complicated, but let's start by unboxing it in some easy manner. So the first question that comes to mind, that comes from personal experience, is how do we know that so many times self-love starts with people loving us, and sometimes the person who's loving us, who's triggering some kind of self-love, or as long as we think it's self-love, the person that triggers this is our partner. But then the relationship with our partner might become toxic. So how do we identify a relationship that's getting toxic? And how would you suggest, what's that fine line when you know that this is kind of deteriorating your self-love more than helping it?
Okay, good question. And a lot of a big answer that can come through. So I'm going to try and keep it as simple as possible. So when it comes to relationships,
you can go in depth. You can go in depth.
No, can I? Yeah. So when it comes to relationships, it is your biggest mirror because it's where you are the most intimate with a person. And how relationships normally start off, you have this attraction phase. So there can be 25 people in a room, and it's that one person that catches your eye for whatever unconscious reason it is. Mm-hmm. But it's that chemistry that somehow, and someone will be like, but what is it about that person? I mean, that person so much. And only the two of you can understand what the attraction is. And it's normally that chemistry that comes through is your vibration that you're operating on. And it's a very unconscious vibration that you have. So every single day, we only operate 5% consciously. The rest of our day, we are operating 95% unconsciously. And when we say this, like, for example, your physical body is, your heart is beating, you have all of these operations happening that's happening unconsciously. But then you also have the unconscious emotional self that's happening, and all these belief system and limitation that sits in the unconscious mind, which is your programming. And that vibration that you are carrying is how we attract people. So how I explain this, and Nabila knows this, I call it, we're all operating on Kak FM.
Okay.
So when we walk into a room, the frequency we walk into is what we will be drawn to, because we're all operating on that survival programming. So that's where that initial connection happens. And then you come across the room and you'll go, hi, I'm Naz. And you'll go, hi, I'm Nabil. And the whole time, and you'll be like, oh, I do this for a living, and I drive this, and I so love myself. You'll never say, oh my God, I'm so lonely and miserable, and it's so nice to meet you across the room. Maybe you could be the one. We don't say that.
No.
You meet, and so it's your internal vibration that brings the initial attraction. And then when you're in the physical space, you do exactly what you've mastered, and that's to mask. So you put your best foot forward, and at this point, you're trying to impress me, I'm trying to impress you, so I'm trying to tell you everything good. So we fall in love with the mask. And then that honeymoon phase starts fizzling out, because you can only maintain your mask for so long. And then that person in the room starts popping up very slowly. Your vulnerability starts coming. This person starts seeing your weakness and fears. And that starts triggering all of your unconscious belief systems and limitations that you carry. And then that mirror, what happens is, like I'm saying, people are not their behaviors. Their behaviors is serving something on a deeper level. So people start withdrawing or fighting or disconnecting from each other. But then at the same time, they're trying very hard to hold on, because this relationship is exactly what we said earlier. It gives me meaning. So you hold on for the wrong intention. So you're not complementing each other. You're actually complicating each other because you're not authentic.
Do you think that, so when this happens, you know, okay, so you're attracted to someone and then the mask falls away, do you think it's worth fighting for the relationship to find that happy place again? Or is it time to let go when the mask falls away and you are now triggering all the bad stuff in each other?
There's many answers to that. However, I think the first thing to look at is, why are you with this person? Is this person supposed to be filling you? Because a lot of times people connect and they love each other. And what you find is the ones that you love the most is the ones you feel the most unsafe with, because they have the ability to break you. So it just depends on your relationship, why people come together. But in my opinion, all relationships give you the opportunity to find yourself. And if couples can work together to find themselves, so even when I do couples coaching, they have to first get to know themselves and their internal emotional maps of each other, and then decide, okay, this is who I am truly. This is all my belief system and relationship I have with myself. And then work on that decision on, why did I actually come together with you? And is this worth fighting for? And it's a tricky one because it all depends. You have couples who just go together because they don't know how to be lonely. So they put up with someone even if they're not compatible. People get married because of social pressure. So
or
just
you stay with
depending
someone because
on-
you invested so much time in them. You're like, oh, I don't want to waste my time. You just end it now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it just depends. And I think if you know this person is worth fighting for and you love this person and you're willing to then fall in love with yourself to be with this person, then absolutely. Relationships are the best mirrors to get to know yourself. The one book that I recommend is Havel Hendricks, Getting the Love You Want. They've got a few books, but it's beautifully written, and it really takes you on a journey to understand why we attract the partners we do. But it all comes back to self. It's relationship with self. It's the unconscious mind.
Yeah. So today I was actually talking to my mother, and I don't know if this is a real thing or if I've just like fooled myself into thinking this. But when I meet someone, I just have this gut feeling like whether they're a good person to talk to, like if I want to pursue them, or my gut tells me no. Like, is this a genuine thing? Because she's telling me that I'm just making excuses to not connect with men. So I'm like, but I get like I get vibes from someone like, okay, no, I actually don't want to continue talking to this guy because I know we're not going to click. Is that a genuine thing, or am I just putting up barriers?
So it's a mixed thing, because your natural instincts do exist. So when you are born with these gut instincts, natural, picking up people's vibes. Like Wayne Dyer says, we are born geniuses and life de-geniuses us. Because what starts happening is you're told not to trust your instincts and gut feeling. So a lot of times, yes, your gut could be telling you that, but it also could be your fear that's telling you that. Because sometimes because we operate on Kak FM, when something good comes along, we find it very boring because it's not in the comfort zone of our survival mode that we used to. So if a lot of people are addicted to difficult relationships, victimized
the bad
relationships,
boys.
Abusive, yes, simply because it's what you're vibing on. And it matches. So if a nice guy comes in like Nabila, he's such an awesome guy. you like him, he's so sweet, and you'd be like, oh, sweet is so boring.
Yeah, that's
But
actually exactly what I do. And like I've said in previous episodes, I always tend to want to go for men on other continents because I know they're unattainable and I'm gonna have to fight for this.
it sounds like safety.
Yeah.
You seek safety for
Yeah.
self.
It's safe
So
also.
unavailable.
Yeah. Which is
But isn't it?
it's bullshit.
No, I don't know. From an anthropological side point of view, it might be normal. I mean, we are all born with this self-preservation instinct. So I think I agree. It kind of gives you that that literal that I don't know that feeling of saying, you know, it's too far. So if I do not succeed, I have a reason for that. It's kind of
Yeah.
having a reason before you start with it. And it's something that might happen in any other field in life. You know, you want to start a project and you aim for this huge thing and you say, okay, if I fail, it's because it's too big. So you kind of make an excuse before starting with it. I do not want to diagnose you by any means, Nabila, but it's just
Dr. Nabil.
Oh, thank you. Flattered, but I think it's just self-preservation, and I think it's kind of normal, I'd say. I don't know.
Justification. We justify, the brain will justify the reasoning. And this is where it, it's like my friend and I, Cheslin, we normally have these very deep conversations. And we're like, it's so hard to coach yourself out of something.
Yeah, I actually like to tune into your Instagram lives. So if anyone's listening, you want you want to eavesdrop on some very interesting conversations. Follow Coach Naz on Instagram, and you can on a Wednesday night, right?
Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Yeah.
GMT +2. So
Yes.
yeah, I find I sit there and I chuckle to myself.
Because it's real. Hey?
Yeah.
We get very like today's topic. We were speaking about, are you the demon in your own life? And it was very deep. And last week we flipped the topic because it's all about love, like Nabil said this month. But in actual facts, if we had to get real with ourselves, isn't it all about self-hate? Because we have a self-hate relationship, and we actually vibe on the opposite of love. Everything that's the opposite of love, like fear.
Yeah.
Like you were saying now, is it my gut? Am I really picking up the right thing? It's hard to know. Like, I just met Nabil. How am I really genuinely supposed to know what kind of a person he is?
Oh,
Because
you can
perception
ask
is
me that.
projection.
Like, I'm still, every episode that goes past, I learn more about him. So we
No,
didn't know each
So
other.
happy birthday, by the way, Nabil. I meant to say happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I'm a nice person. Now, if you ask her, she's going to, I don't know, to paint me like this grumpy, old but young person. I'm not. I'm a really nice person.
All that came from your own mouth. I was going to say this past few episodes, you've been very, very sweet. So
Thank you.
all that was self-sabotage. You see, you're acting out of fear of what I was going to say.
Yeah, I was making an excuse. Yes, actually, yes.
Justifying his behavior.
Yeah,
He's nice.
Oh, thank you. So I had this other question is because this has happened to a friend of mine, and I've asked them if I could kind of share this story. Is so you know, with this whole pandemic, we've been getting in touch with people very far from our place,
Yes.
starting
Yes.
maybe long distance relationships and everything. So this person, I have to say, they hate themselves so much. They actually sold a completely different picture of themselves to the current partner. And it's a problem because they know that's a very different picture from the reality. And they are kind of in this kind of tunnel with this knowing he or she that he sold the wrong picture of himself. It's completely fine that he sold a completely different picture of himself, and it's getting quite heavy on him. And I would like to ask you: is there any way that he really likes this girl? So there's no way he wants to sabotage it. But is there any way he could get out of it somehow?
Get out of the lies or get out of the...
Yeah, get out of the lies, because these lies came from actually lying to himself. So he started lying to himself in order to, make himself, I don't know, credible.
My advice is very simple. The truth always sets you free.
Does it?
That's it. The truth sets you free, because where is it going to take him? At some point, if he plans to have a long-term relationship with her, the truth is going to come out and he's going to hurt her even more. So rather be truthful now, be vulnerable, explain where you're coming from, because all he's doing is prolonging the inevitable by continuing with the lie. Yeah.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
We're gonna add that to your tab. Charge you after.
Yes, this friend of yours.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, what do you do in life besides self-love and therapy? Do you have any hobby, any interests?
Yes, so coaching is my sole purpose and passion. So I do this on weekends and after hours. Full-time, I'm in media, strategy, research. My hobbies, I love traveling. Traveling is my favorite thing. I am missing it like crazy at the moment.
Absolutely.
But I love exploring different things and trying different things. So every year I will challenge myself to learn something, whether it's skydiving, to experience something different. Like last year, I bought a guitar to learn. I still haven't learned how to play it, but I have the guitar and I, make some sounds with it. But yeah, this is where the adventurizer comes in, because if this is all about getting to know yourself. So for example, how do I know for sure that I don't enjoy drawing if I've never tried it? I think I'm least adventurous when it comes to food. I'm boring in that field, but everything else I'm quite open to. Yeah. So I like doing that. I love, I think travel mainly, but like different kinds of, like scuba diving, for example.
Oh.
I tried it but I did the mini course before. So you learn in an hour and then they take you to the deep sea. I was like, oh my God, I flipped backwards. I'm like, I can't do this.
I feel so claustrophobic underwater.
I know. But if you do like the undersea walk, like in Mauritius, I did that. That's amazing, because you don't need to remember anything. You just you breathing normally, but just walking under the water. So it's beautiful.
And how did this coaching purpose start?
I was in search of myself. I've experienced a lot of loss and a lot of things in life. I've been through a lot. And in the searching for the answers and looking for myself and getting to know myself, I found my purpose. So for a very long time, I had a fear of public speaking. And which was a huge limitation. And after 10 years of getting away with it in my media career, I eventually thought I'm not going to be able to grow anymore in my career if I continue with this fear of public speaking. So I decided to venture down with that fear, understand where it comes from. And it came down to everything: self-worth, not wanting my voice to be heard, not wanting to be seen, remaining invisible. And as soon as I faced the fear disappeared and a coach was born. My true purpose was born. That's how it came about.
Have you watched the movie Soul?
My friend keeps telling me I need to watch that movie. I need to
watch
put it on my
it. It
list.
is such a beautiful movie, and they talk a lot about your purpose, finding your purpose and your spark in life. It's very cute. Such a good movie.
It's on my list. On my list to watch. Yeah.
Is it a Christmas movie?
No, it's not a Christmas movie.
It's an animated one.
Yeah, I watch movies that are not Christmas movies, you know.
Are you addicted to Christmas movies?
Yes, hell yes, I love Christmas.
Yeah, you can
Oh,
love
cute.
Christmas without necessarily loving Christmas movies, which are, by the way, if you're just tuning in, pointless and deserve nothing and deserve not a single penny of your money.
No, 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 no. None of this negative slander.
Fair enough, fair enough.
Yes.
And
So let me ask you guys a question.
yeah, go on.
What is love to you?
This is an
Creak,
interesting
creak,
question.
creak.
No.
Creak, creak, creak.
This is super interesting.
Awkward silence.
You know,
Nabil, you can go first.
No. You know that I've always been fascinated by this Greek myth, which says that Zeus, the great god of all gods, at first I reckon he created all these humans who had two bodies. We had two heads, and half of us was a girl in the myth, and half of us was a guy. And basically, at some point, he got triggered because he always was pissed off, and he got pissed at something, and he decided to divide us in half. And our sole purpose in our lives was go on and find that soulmate who was actually just the other half we were bound to before Zeus decided to
Some
split
people were
us.
part of quarters and fifths, huh?
Yeah, indeed. But yeah, I do not think that it's the sole purpose in life. I do think though that love plays. Well, first, you have to see how you intend, what kind of love you mean. Is it love as intended for a parent of yours, or is it love for a person who you get bound to when you say, okay, I'm ready to spend the rest of my life with this person? Is it love for a person with whom you say, I find myself to be spending good time with this person, but I don't know about the future? I think there are many grades in love. Just to wrap it up, I think love is one of the two most important things in life. I think love and health are the two purposes on which human beings thrive.
And for you, Nabila?
Applause. Cue in the
Thank you.
applause. That was a very good speech. As you're talking, I thought about this poem that. So we had to write a poem in. Oh, I was very very young. I think it was primary school about love. Like we had to, write a poem, and I think I wrote about my mother. So for me, whether it's your parents, siblings, friendships, relationship, I think love is something that comforts you. It's a feeling that where you feel comfortable with a person, and they make you feel warm or safe. But they also irritate you as well. But you deal with it.
I love asking this question because it's amazing to see how people respond and never really answer the question.
Yeah.
And in the response, it has to do with another person always.
Oh, yeah.
Does it?
Because I asked, what is love for you? And your response has to do with the external world. Okay, Nabila did say
Oh, yeah,
comforting.
fair enough. Because there's self-love as well.
Can you see? Yet we spend majority of our lives in search of love, but we haven't defined what love is for us. Isn't that interesting? In addition to that, I often ask people, so you have single people like, I can't find anyone, it's so difficult, la 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 la. So I'm like, do you know what you're looking for?
Drag me.
And they're like... And they don't. They have a list of 10 things. And I'm like, 10 things? How are you supposed to find a person based on a list of 10 things? They're like, oh my God, that is too much. That's so demanding to have 10 things on my list. I'm like, actually, your list needs to be 150 things minimum. And then you explain that, because this person is someone you want to share your life with, and there's different areas. So you're not just chasing a feeling. This is why a lot of countries you're sitting at divorce rates at 50%, because people are just chasing the definition of love we just answered. It's all based on finding a person, never about finding yourself. They don't have that definition of love. Like, for example, I remember part of my healing journey, I once went to somebody and she says, "You don't have joy." And I remember sitting there looking at her, and I had no idea what she was talking about. It was a foreign word, although I knew the word. It was a foreign word to my system. And I couldn't understand, what is joy? And I must have pondered this for months after that. And I'm like, I don't know what joy is, because where in my programming would I have learned what joy is? And then I had to start defining joy for myself. So how do I see joy? How does joy feel? What would it look like if it existed? Because it doesn't exist in my system. And then I could find joy. So just like this, people don't know love, because where would you have learnt it? It's a feeling that, like a lot of you would say yes from your parents, but then a lot of times it's survival parents raising kids, victims of victims raising victims.
Okay.
So did they actually know the definition of love?
Completely right. So on that point, I would redirect a question that Nabila asked in the previous episode. And she asked, how do you know when it's love? That kind of love. And so for a person, for a certain person, not talking about your parents, or so you just meet someone, how do you know it's love? And I reckon I said, when you are able to sacrifice something in the present for something in the future. And I wanted to have your take on that.
In my opinion, I think when you truly love somebody, you can let them go if they don't choose you, as one. Two, it's about complete acceptance. So it's not about them fitting in your box. It's, how do we fit in this box together? How do we create a box together?
How do we share the box?
So, yes. So a lot of times people want to come in and change a person completely. Yes, there's a me. There's two me's that come into a relationship. But then it's, how do we turn that M around, and how do we make we work? Because we do have differences. We are not going to agree on everything. And as soon as we can accept a person for everything that they are and the choices that they make without strangulating them, then you kind of know that that is love, unconditional love. But also not sacrificing yourself.
Like my parents always ask me, they're like, what are you looking for? Because whenever I say no to this person, no, they're like, but you're so fussy. Like, what are you looking for? And I can never put my finger. I was like, I just want someone I can vibe with.
Yes.
But I don't have a definition.
For vibes.
Yeah, vibes. Just vibes.
Just
yeah,
vibes.
like we just get along. There's no words to explain that feeling. Or maybe I just need to swallow a dictionary.
The funny thing is, a lot of times people find this magical love that we're all chasing. Some of us are lucky enough to experience it. And then the fear kicks in, and then they self-sabotage.
Yeah.
So it's about choosing to stick, because the easy route now, and especially with the younger generation, you find the easy route is to run. As soon as it gets tough, and as soon as your vulnerabilities are being triggered, you rather leave. So now you have things like narcissists, gaslighting, all these words that happen because people are not facing themselves. Is he one of those?
He loves to define himself as a narcissist.
Big topic.
That's his mask.
No, I don't love to define myself as that. It's just the reality of things, I reckon. It was so turning into kind of a overly ego or maniac narcissist was my response to not being accepted. And it's kind of going from the side of not loving yourself to the opposite side of loving yourself too much. So I don't like to define myself as that. It's just the reality of things.
It's interesting because narcissists love attracting people who carry a lot of insecurity and fear, and it's about control. They love, if they can't have control, they don't feel safe. So
Bloody hell!
they will look.
Give me a break.
Maybe that's
No,
why
no,
our
no.
podcast works so well, huh?
No. Fair enough. That was a
Are you the codependent?
No. That was really a good point. The control, being a control freak, needing to have everything under control, and I absolutely agree with that. That was a very valid point. And yeah,
Yes.
I think it kind many times you hear maniac freaks, control freaks. I mean, being a control freak, being obsessed with having everything under control is a positive trait. It is not. It is not.
No.
And not being able to letting go of something is not a good thing. So, and especially when you start both in love life and in work life as well. So you need to accept that you cannot do everything, and you have to let people help you and do the fair part. So I wouldn't, for instance, if I went 100% control on this whole project, it wouldn't be here, because I could never do some things just as Nabila does them. And because she's much better than me in many things she's currently doing. So if I was actually the control freak I usually am, this wouldn't be here. This episode would not be here at all.
Yeah.
Because I wouldn't be able to do it.
That's why I say, like, this whole narcissist thing is like a mask, because I've seen you surrender control to me, you know? So I'm like, is he really though?
They also very good at manipulation, hey?
Oh shit.
I'm not.
So to get what they want, they bring that sweet side out. They like weasel their way in, and then it's
listen
like,
to her.
now I got you, codependent.
Oh shit.
I got you.
She's manipulating you.
Thanks for the warning.
No, I would never. Naz, I wanted to ask you something, because I think this is much of a taboo to this day. So as far as couples are concerned, they are reluctant to go on therapy and to seek help, because they think when they go and seek help, the relationship is over, which I think is utterly stupid. So do you agree with that? And how would you suggest people should start trusting a therapist and going into therapy without thinking that their relationship is over as soon as they step in that room?
Before you answer, I think it also applies to individuals where people are too proud to seek help.
Yeah.
Very nice questions, and something we talk about so often as well. Like I said earlier, every person needs somebody. You know, a coach needs a coach, but everyone needs somebody to talk to. I think a huge reason for that perception is when I go for therapy, it's admitting there's something wrong with me, whether it's couples or individual coaching. Same thing. There's something wrong with me. There's something wrong with this relationship. If you have underlying belief, for example, I'm a failure, that's completely triggered in a scene like therapy. And my advice for clients is, or individuals, is it's not there's something wrong with you. It's about going and learning how to be happy, because no one taught you this. How to be love, how to be light, how to be peaceful. Because you know all the other things. You like, for example, we spoke about control. Control is a behavior. And if a person had to understand how control serves them, you'll see it comes to a limiting belief. So maybe one of the beliefs could be, if I don't do it, it's never done right. Or they find safety in control, depending on where that stems from. So I do a process with a lot of people I call it the internal emotional map, which is a 7-step process of going into your core beliefs and then seeing from that how you have a perception of the world, your belief systems from there, how you then attract certain situations in your life. So I think instead of saying there's something wrong with me, understand that you were never programmed to know these things you desire. You were programmed to hide. You were programmed to protect. You were programmed to defend. It's not your natural state to know love, joy, happiness, how to hurt. I mean, being a human being, you're going to experience heartbreak, death, rejection on some level. But the problem is no one has taught us how to feel our emotions because it was always seen as wrong as a child. So if you think about guys don't, real men don't cry. That programming kicked in when you were a little boy who was innocent, who wasn't allowed to cry, although his knee was hurting. He wasn't allowed to express that emotion. So the emotion is then shut down. And how I describe emotion is it's an energy in motion. But these are the suppressed emotions that we carry that is driving your life every single day. So that's the reason people don't want to go for therapy. And when they do go, they're going with that perception. So they already got their defenses up because they're like, I know there's nothing wrong with me. So ego comes in play. And it's fear-based approach instead of, you know what, I need to accept that I'm imperfectly perfect. And I wasn't designed to know these things. So I need to go and learn. Who would have taught us to have healthy relationships? Where would we have learned this?
One more question before we wrap up. I think we're going over time now.
Okay.
So we've done the whole process. Okay, we said, loving yourself starts with accepting yourself and your flaws. Cool. So I am now in my healing process. I'm accepting myself. I'm loving myself. But then you always get that external factor that makes you, comes in and like, makes you doubt yourself. How do you deal with that? So like if I'm a very emotional person and I know this, or if I have like, let's use body image issues, and I'm just accepting, that I have big thighs or whatever. But then you have someone that keeps saying, oh, you need to lose weight, or that's not acceptable, or that's not healthy. Like, how do you block out external factors in your journey to accepting yourself?
Don't block it, explore it.
Okay.
Because the trigger is the clue to what's unhealed within you. So the fact that another person has the power to control you means there's something within you that you need to take power over.
Okay. Fair enough.
This has been so insightful.
It's a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I could see it's like a never-ending process, and every time you think something is fixed, something else is broken. It's like sending your car to a mechanic. It always comes back with another issue.
Remember, it's taken lifetimes for these programmings to kick in, and if we understand the bigger picture of it, it's sometimes generational stuff that you're dealing with. So my thing in life is the triggers give you the opportunity to go within and understand what's happening. The trigger won't be there if the wound is not there. And you notice when you understand it and heal it, and when the same thing happens, then you're not as triggered by it. So if you had full acceptance of your body image, for example, and you were super comfortable in it, this wouldn't bother you. Your response would be, well, there's more of me to love, darling, and you would just walk away. But with complete confidence of knowing self and accepting self.
Cool. I think we'll leave it there unless you have any last words for us, any advice for our listeners.
I would say, people, get real, unmask your emotional selves, get to know yourselves. It's an ongoing process, but it's so worth the journey to free yourself and the vibrations. And the fear that you have about something being wrong with you, there's never anything wrong with you. It's just stuff you don't know about yourself. So get to know yourself, love yourselves, and allow the world to be vulnerable by allowing yourself to be vulnerable. That would be my last
Thank you
words.
very much.
Thank you, guys.
I enjoyed this.
It was lovely meeting you. Me too. It was very nice.
Yeah. It's really
He's
been super insightful.
just bombarded with all this information, this new.
He's
Yeah.
processing.
Yeah, he's processing. It's
I can see.
an awakening. Look at his face. Well, people
Yeah.
can't see, but
I take time to process information.
I can see. I can see.
Yeah, that
Windows
is
98.
no, it's
Windows
97. It's even
97.
earlier than that. Yeah, I have really low computational effort. But yes,
A lot of people are still operating on DOS systems. People. They need to upgrade themselves.
That's true. That's true. And yes, I would urge anyone to whoever feels the need to connect with you. Actually, the URL, I think it's let's connect.
Let's connect you. Yes.
Let's connect you.co.za.
Yes.
And
Yes.
what's your username on social media?
Coach Naz.
Coach Naz. Yes. Do that. It's super insightful. So I'm feeling blessed with this opportunity. So really thank you for being with us. I think Nabila would like to run the song of the week now, don't you?
we'll give it to Coach.
Yes.
Your song of the week. What's been on repeat, or what song helps you cope with your day?
Depends on my week and what I'm going through. But this week, I love Dance Monkey because it's just got a vibe. It's a
Oh my
happiness
gosh.
tune.
That's my dad.
Yeah, I love that song. I think if you watch the video, it's even more fun. It's a very interesting video.
Yeah.
But it just makes you feel happy.
I can't stand that song. I'm sorry. It's so annoying. I didn't even watch the music video because I was just like, I cannot stand this. What's your song of the week, Nabs?
You keep on having zero taste in music. That's staggering.
Who? Me?
Yeah, you.
Why?
It's a happy song. Yeah, let people be happy without slandering. Yes, please.
I mean,
Just
enjoy your music, but as long as
redirect-
I don't have to hear it, it's fine.
Redirect your hate towards Christmas movies.
No. I'll
Go on.
never.
What's your song of the week?
No, what's your song of the week?
My song of the week is My Sharona by The Knack. It's quite popular, so you should know it. But I don't expect anything from you, so no worries.
Jeez, okay.
Um,
Remember,
yeah.
the world is your mirror.
Yeah.
So if you're not expecting
That's the new one.
anything from me,
What am I triggering in you?
what am I triggering in you? Exactly. My song of the week is Heat Waves by Glass Animals and Oliver Heldens.
Never heard it.
Yeah,
but
I think it's quite
I
a new song. It's quite cool.
Oh, I'll have a listen.
I'll add it to our playlist.
Yes. So thank you very much, Naz. It's been quite an
It's
honor.
JustNabz on the JustNabz show podcast.
I feel ashamed. I would like to distance myself from that pun. But yeah, indeed. Thank you, Naz. It's been really insightful, and yes, all the best for the future.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and Nabila, as always, it's been an honor, as much as painful.
Yeah.
But yes, I will see you next week.
Mirror.
Along with
Goodbye.
Trigger. Trigger.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye.